All right.
Shoot time. Caught that.
What up, world, and welcome back to another episode of What's Good, TO. Today on the show, we've got a special recap about what went down last night at New Jazz Fest with the Soul Motivators and Slim Moore and the Marqués. But before we get to that, in the studio with us right now is a PBD, a pretty big deal. Back in 1988, she was the first Canadian hip-hop artist to ever get signed to a record label in the States. She's opened for Salt and Peppa, Sinead O'Connor, Judy Mowat, has released an album with legendary Boogie Down Productions, DJ LA Love, and was also a founding member in rock alternative group Raggadeath. Still actively part of the Toronto hip-hop community, I met this powerhouse of a woman last year in Kingston, Jamaica, her home turf, where she performed for a music, arts, and empowerment festival called Manifesto Jamaica. Please welcome on the show, Michie Mee.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me, Shar.
Sister, and how you doing?
I'm very good, thank you.
So Michie, how did you fall in love with hip-hop?
Oh, naturally. It was the brand new genre at the time. We were trying to prove that it wasn't disco, that it was going to last. It was here to stay. The entire world was one unified music scene, just coming into something really new. So I fell in love with it after hearing Rapper's Delight.
Rapper's Delight,
Yes.
word. You know, something very distinct about you is how you infuse your Jamaican flavor into your sound. How did that come about?
Naturally. I didn't know that it wasn't something to add. It really came from when I seen Cool Herc doing all that sound system and bringing the community together in one area and playing music. I figured it was something I was supposed to do. I didn't know that artists from other territories were not doing it, because when you're so young and doing it and so close to it, you really don't know what you're doing. Being Jamaican and sitting here in Canada, the thing that the Americans could gravitate to me and know that I was worldly was the fact that I was West Indian. So that was an asset in my signing with an American label, was the fact that I wasn't American, was that I was Jamaican living in Canada.
Word. How old were you when all of that went down?
I was 15. I was 15, lying and saying I was 17 to get in the clubs, to be a part of the big boys club. I wanted to be older at the time, and yeah, I was 15. I was actually 14 when I really started, and 15 when I had gotten the record deal, and 19 when the actual record released. How
did Boogie Down discover you?
I was in New York City, hanging out like all Canadian tourists do in Manhattan.
At 15?
Yes, with the fake ID, like I said. Back then it wasn't so, nowadays it's a big thing. We didn't have internet. There was no way of connecting with everyone else. So the grassroots of Canadian hip hop scene, we actually had to go to Manhattan, go to the Bronx, go to Brooklyn, and be a part of the scene and, get in the mix. So in doing that, it was such a journey, but that's what I had to go to. Latin Quarters was a big club in Manhattan, and that's where I met Scott LaRock and Boogie Down Productions and told them I was from Canada. And they're like, no, Canadians don't rap. I was like, I spit right there, and that was the beginning of myself in Boogie Down Productions.
Sick.
Yes.
That's so awesome.
Brave.
Really brave.
Yeah.
So in the late 80s, early 90s, what was the hip-hop scene like here in Toronto?
Very self-contained. You were the artist, you were the hostess, you were the party pusher, you were the flyer pusher. You were a part of being downtown and just meeting in front of the Eaton Center on a $2 movie night and telling everyone there at the movie night that you were an artist. You had to be a part of, say, Sunshine Sound Crew. Example was one of the sound crews that went around to different schools. So no matter where they were, you tried to be a part of that trail. There was very few mediums to get the hip-hop crews and everyone out there. So we used anything that we could get, whether it was a school dance, whether it was $2 at a movie night. We used everything as artists to connect the dots.
Bonafide hustler.
Yes.
What was one of the challenges you faced during that time with the Canadian hip-hop industry in its very premature stages? What was one of the challenges you faced as even a female artist?
Oh, being a female artist, being an immigrant, explaining to them I was Canadian, male-dominated field, new music, new genre, everything that could come up as a barrier in terms of expressing yourself was up. But as a young child, you don't see, we're all fearless at a very young age, so you don't really see the barriers. You really just concentrate on your songwriting and who you are as an artist, and figure at the end of the day, if you nurture your talent, save your money, because that'll save you and your talents.
Word.
that's what I banked on.
So you being actively part of the Toronto hip hop community now, which is how I met you, what do you think of Toronto hip hop?
Oh, I love it. It definitely has a sound influenced by the world now. Canada, I always say, is like co-op central in terms of learning the industry, knowing and finding out where you want to fit in the industry and getting ready to take on the world. I just think everyone, the scene here now is just so unified. I think everyone is pulling together and learning from some of the mistakes and some of the good things that we did in the past, and really learning that coming together and being here and being a part of these courses and festivals and getting in where you fit in is a main thing to do, and that hasn't changed. So I do think Canadians have an upper hand on, we've had no infrastructure, so just doing it from the grassroots, I believe we know how to do it really well. And that's coming out in the music. West Indian background, Canadian background's now very dominant in the music, so I love it.
Wicked. Michie, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Stay tuned for the recap that's coming up. Thank you for having Michie Mee.
.com.
Oh! No. No, I totally just choked up just now.
Why? Did we get the time?
No, we did. It's still on.
Oh my, she choked.
Oh my God.